Alrighty, so today we are going to finish off reviewing the last six games from this weekend's action, and that include both of my team involving games that are considered playoff six-pointer and had very contrasted result at how the game play out. But we start off with the first game, which is Seattle and FC Dallas, and I'm not going to lie, this was probably the least entertaining game of this weekend. Probably one of the least entertaining game to watch if you're a neutral this season. I mean, the only good thing about this game is that there were at least goals that were scored in this one. But other than that, yeah, it was kind of a very bland game, which I think that shouldn't be a big surprise because both of these teams coming into this game and really this season, they have had problems in terms of scoring goals. Now, early on in the first half, 8 minutes in, the first shot of the game did see Ruiz hits one right to pass before Fiera puts it into the side netting, which half of the stadium thought that it was in. Like, half of the stadium was celebrating the fact that that one went in, but the entire stadium would celebrate not long after because in the 15th minute, Orion would score from Ariola to give Dallas a 1-0 lead. But after that, really not much had happened after that goal that was scored. The game really become very stagnated. Romico would hit one right to pause before Baker Whiten shot took a deflection and it goes right to Martin Paz. I mean, that was not an easy save for Martin Paz. Anytime when you have a shot that came off a deflection, it can definitely fool a goalkeeper, but Paz does a good job to not be fooled by that deflection and easily caught that one. And then it was the post, denying Quignon on the header in the first minute of stoppage time, but we do head to halftime with Dallas leading 1-0. That lead would disappear in the second half, as in the 56th 7 minute, and I actually wrote the wrong team here in terms of scoring the goals here. So let me just correct that real quick. So yeah, Seattle of course gets the equalizer, and it's Alex Rodon, the one that gets the goal from Baker Whiting to tie the game up at one apiece. Definitely a goal of the week contention because anytime when you basically hit a volley as sweetly as what Alex Rodon hits there, I mean it has to be considered to be goal of the week contention. I mean, what a goal that was from Alex Rodon to tie the game up at one apiece. And then there was a scramble in the Sounders box, or actually in the Dallas box, that is, which ends with Christian Rozan hitting the side netting. So the Brodons almost scoring the two goals for Seattle to get the win in this one. That would have been an interesting story. But Ladero then hits it high on the free kick in the 82nd minute. It feels like the Sounders were pushing to get all 3 points on the road. And yeah, that's something you don't usually see happen in a game where you see the visitor are the one that's pushing to get all 3 points. But that being said, it feels like Dallas was just kind of hanging on, even though they were playing at home. And in the end, it ends in a 1-1 draw in this one. And Dallas also in the second half, only one shot that was registered in the second half. Yeah, it was not a good night for Dallas or even for Seattle in terms of going for in the attack. In fact, the shots in this one, only 7 shots compared to 9 that Seattle has. There was only 16 shots that was registered in this game. We have games where there's teams that have been able to register as many shots or even more shots than the two that was combined for this one. 2 shots on goal for the three that Seattle has, 2 shots off target for the three that Dallas had, 4 shots that was blocked for the two that Dallas had, and possession-wise, 50% for both of these teams. And I mean, overall, obviously, I think the road team will be the more happier side. I think Seattle will be happy to get a point out of this one, though, they do want to have a home playoff game. Maybe they would feel like they should get free if they want to secure that. But, for Dallas, it's not all about just home playoff game. It's about making the dance in the first place. I mean, as much as the West is really tight right now, and I won't be surprised these next couple of weeks things are going to continue to shuffle, but Dallas found themselves outside the playoff line as we speak. And again, this team, they got to find something on the attacking end. And I thought in the last game maybe that they have found something. Maybe guys like Ariola and Ferreira has hit their stride. And in this game, it didn't show that, and that is definitely a huge concern if you're a Dallas team because those are two of the guys that basically provides the spark on the attack. Besides Bernard Kumungo, who did not play in this one, and yeah, it's with them not providing the spark. This is going to be how Dallas is going to continue to struggle to score goals and continue to struggle to get themselves above the red line. But that being said, moving on in terms of the next match, it's Minnesota and Sporting KC. So in a big playoff six-pointer game at Allianz Field, Minnesota decided to lay an egg in this one. And honestly, I don't think anybody is surprised by this, even as a Minnesota fan. The fact that this team this season they just struggle at home. I mean, I just don't understand why this team have struggled so much at home. Besides the fact that maybe the style that they play, this kind of counter-attacking style that Adrian Heath likes to play, just doesn't fit well at home. But still, even then, there's been games where they have played well at home, and unlike in other games where, in terms of the home struggle for this season for Minnesota is either in terms of bad finishing or the fact that they were able to nick a point out of a game. They didn't even do that in this game. I mean, this was just a flat performance from Minnesota in a game where, again, they just cannot afford to lose this game, and they lost it. In the 6th minute, Voltaire with Sporting's first shot, but it was deflected high as there was a lot of possession for Sporting early on in Minnesota. They're off to a slow start, which again, it's a rare thing at home. They always tends to start out strong at home. They was flat coming out of the gate. Russell then puts it high in the near post. The possession was 66 to 34 for Sporting early in this one. And as much as I know Minnesota is a team that's not known to have possession, that tends to like to hit teams on the counter attack, they just couldn't do so. They couldn't quite bring that outlet pass, and part of that has to do with Sporting KC doing a good job in terms of shutting down those potential transitional moment that the Loons could have. Taylor then hits one right to Melia before Dane Sinclair denying Tommy in the near post, and then Polito would heads it wide from the corner. And really, when you look at the end of the day, I mean, I know some people will say Sporting KC kind of steal the win out of this. I mean, when you look at how they play really in this game, especially in the first half, they were the better team in this game against Minnesota. But yeah, they were pressing to try to get the opening goal, though Melia did have to deny Reynoso from close range, and we do head to halftime, scoreless between both of these teams. Now in the second half, not much really happened in the second half. Both of these teams were looking flat on the attack, but also maybe both of these teams they want to settle into the second half because again, this is kind of a game just like what we saw in the other playoff 6-pointer between Montreal and Chicago, and also Charlotte versus DC, where things are just kind of tight because well, maybe in these games teams are not going to take too much chances because there's just so much at stake in this game. Fragapani then puts it high from close range before Tajuri Shradi missed an absolute sitter from close range. But I thought it was getting better for Minnesota. They finally started to get a grip of this game. But now the question is, can they find that clinical finishing? And the answer in this game is no, because Amelia would rob Pookie from a point blank effort. And as much as, that was a great save for Amelia to readjust himself back to make the save, that was just too casual from Timu Pukki. I mean, that's one that, we paid him the big buck to do. That has to be variance to the back of net. And especially with the fact that Pukki lately, he has definitely found his goal scoring form again. I was surprised he missed that one. And again, it just feels like he took it way too casually in terms of that. Though, that being said, 5 minutes later, it looked like Minnesota finally broke through as Michael Boxall would score on a lovely delivery into the box. The problem was he was in an offside position. So the goal, of course, was disallowed for offside. And to make matter worse for Minnesota, on the other end, Sporting KC would score. It's Gadi Kinda coming off the bench here from Roger Espinoza to make it 1-0 in favor of Sporting KC. And yeah, that was just a gut punch for the Loons. I mean, they went from 1-0 up 5 minutes ago and then have that goal being chopped off because of offside to now find himself down 1-0 because of just some bad defending there from the Loons, especially on Ethan Bristol Parr, who I'm not gonna make such a quick assumption because he's still only just thrust into this team after making a summer signing, but man, he has not looked good so far in his early days in the Loons jerseys, and in this one he just got absolutely done by Gadi Kinda. So yeah, that made it 1-0 in favor of Sporting KC. Though again, this Minnesota team has had it's known for its late heroics, and they were going to maybe try to do it again, just like they did against New England. Sun Bin would then miss wide from close range in the third minute stoppage time, but it was not meant to be. As in the end, Sporting KC, a massive 3 points in this one. I mean, they are still below the red line after other resort kind of didn't go in their favorite, but yeah, I mean, for Sporting KC, even though they're below the red line, they are right there in terms of trying to get themselves up in the standings. The shots in this one, 14 shots with a 6 that Sporting KC had, 5 shots on goal with a 2 that Sporting KC had, 2 shots off target with a 4 that Minnesota has, 5 shots that was blocked with a 2 that Sporting KC had, and possession-wise, 54% compared to 46% possession that Minnesota has. And if you just look purely on stats, I can understand why people think that Sporting KC stole this game, but I just think that in this one, Minnesota just didn't do enough in this game. And now, unless this is kind of a 4D chess move that they're doing in terms of losing game on purpose so they can get a lower seed, so they can make sure that they don't play playoff game at Allianz Field because again, this team they suck at home this season, but they're very good on the road. I guess maybe that's kind of the move that they're doing. They're in danger of missing out on the playoffs. And as I said, it is a home heavy schedule to finish the season, and with the way that this team continue to struggle at home, yeah, I would not be surprised if this team would miss the playoffs. And if they do miss the playoffs, this would be just kind of devastating because, this season they actually have played pretty well this year, but again, it's just the inconsistency and also the bad home form that they've been had. I mean, it's unexplainable how bad they have been this season, and that if you have a horrible home form like they have been throughout the season, I mean, it's not a big surprise if they do miss out on the playoffs. And if they do miss out on the playoffs for the first time in 2018, you wonder maybe there could be some changes that is going on. I mean, I know the fan base there has been demanding for some changes, especially Adrian Heath. People have said that he may be on the hot seat. As much as I hate to break it to you, I don't think he's going to be on the hot seat. I don't think this front office is going to fire him if this is just a bad season. But I can understand why the Heath out brigade is out in full force because of some of the things that this team has gone through. But yeah, again, it's going to be devastating because I don't think this team has played badly this season, but just a combination of bad luck in terms of bad finishing and also just for whatever reason unable to win at home this year could be their downfall in terms of missing out on the playoffs for the first time since 2018. Well, that being said, moving on into the next match is Colorado and New England. So, what did I tell you in the preview? I said that I would not be surprised if Colorado would get a win in this game against New England because with all the distraction that's going on with New England that was coming in to this game, you just had a feeling that's going to take a toll on this team. Though early on, definitely didn't seem that was the case. They were by far the more dominant team, at least early in this one. In fact, they almost made it 1-0 when the Post denied Mark K and him scoring against his former team. Of course, Mark K, he's been kind of bounced around a couple of teams lately. He was with Toronto, then he was with Colorado, and then if you remember, he originally was with LAFC, and that's where he really made his name and was made his name to a point where he was a regular Canadian international player. But the Rams, they were all over Colorado early. They had all the possession. They were looking for the opener. The possession was 74-26 in favor of the Rams 15 minutes in. But the first shot of the game for the Rapids saw Cabral puts it wide after he decided took on the entire Rams back line. I mean, imagine if Kevin Cabral can finish this. That's kind of I think that move kind of just sums up Kevin Cabral' career in MLS, where there is the talent. The talent is there for him, but in terms of finishing, it's just left a lot to desire. And then we saw the walkout begun. So coming into this game, the Colorado Rapids supporter group they've already shared their statement, and the Rapids front office did kind of responds, but they kind of responds in a way where it's more just kind of words to just kind of calm the fan base that things are going well rather than action. And I'm pretty sure the support group didn't take that nicely because they organized the walkout. It begun at around the 20th minute mark, and they didn't return for the rest of the game, and they even hang out the banners about the banner or the badge, the players, and also the facility that's around. It's just clearly not good enough. And I mean, whenever I see supporter group decide to walk out, there's been some interesting one, but I think this is well deserved. I mean, you can clearly see that the hardcore Rapids fan and especially support group, they're absolutely pissed off of the resort that's going on, and they have every right to do so because this has been bad in terms of how we've been seeing this season. And what's worse is that looking for in the future, I mean, I don't think things are going to be better for this Rapids team unless if they started to finally get out of that MLS 1.0 mindset and actually spend some money to reinvest on this team. In the 23rd minute, Shankali would puts it high from long range before Illich would deny Harks from close range. Again, it was all ramps up to that part besides the Cabral chance. Heel then puts it high on the free kick, but despite the fact that the Rams have a lot of opportunity, this is a nil-nil game heading into the second half, and Colorado took advantage of the fact that they kept this one at nil-nil because in the second half, they would get the opening goal. It's Cole Bassett scoring from Roland to make it 1-0 in favor of the Rapids. That's got to feel good for Cole Bassett, who has really struggled this season, but also just a set piece goal, which, again, I feel like if all things fail for this Rapids team, which things have definitely failed badly for this team this season, why not go back to your bread and butter? I mean, the thing that makes this Colorado Rapids team so good is that they're still the kings of set pieces, and they show it in this one. A wonderful delivery from Connor Ronan, who's really took the role that Jack Price took in a very good way, and just a beautiful delivery right to Bassett. And yeah, he buries it to give it 1-0. Cabral then struck the post on the cross in the 53rd minute, and you can see that that goal really re-energized this Rapids team. You can clearly see this was probably the most hungry that I've seen the Rapids have played in a very long time. They were pressing to try to get that second goal, and they do in the 62nd minute. And I finally get to say this: Calvin Harris scoring for Navarro to make it 2-0 in favor of the Colorado Rapids, and that is the first career MLS goal for Calvin Harris. And just a note, the DJ or the famous Scottish producer. Although he definitely does provide some great music and stuff like that. And honestly, I feel like with that goal, I know the Rapids of course has their goal song that they play, but they should have played a Calvin Harris song. I mean, that would make perfect sense if Calvin Harris, of course, scoring the goal, you have to play a Calvin Harris song. And there are some good Calvin Harris song that I can think that could be a goal song uh, to do. But in that moment, I feel like it would make sense. I mean, Calvin Harris score goal. Who would have thought that would be the case? But anyway, that made it 2-0. In the 73rd minute, Illich would deny Heel from close range. But then in the first minute of stoppage time, New England did have some hope. Gonzalez would score from Heel to make it 2-1 in favor of the Rapids. Talk about set pieces. Yeah, that was not great defending there from the Rapids on the set pieces. And Omar Gonzalez, he still can fly in terms of bringing those header in, and yeah, that was kind of a moment there. But you just kind of had a sense that there was a nervy energy inside Big Sporting Good Part. I mean, Colorado was just trying to hang on to get only their fourth win this season, and they get it as they win 2-1 in this one. It's only the fourth win this season for the Colorado Rapids. Shots in this one, 8 shots for the 17 that New England has. Both teams had 6 shots on goal, 6 shots off target for the 2 that Colorado has. No shots that was blocked for the 5 that New England has, and possession-wise, 61% possession compared to 39% possession that the Colorado Rapids has in this game. So yeah, again, I just had a feeling that this was potentially going to be an upset. And I mean, I don't know if you want to call it an upset because again, New England, they have been dealing with so much adversity in this one. And although they play well in this game, at least in the first half, the inability to score that first goal really kills them. And as soon as Colorado got that opening goal, you can see the heads immediately drop this team. It seems like all that adversity that they face and just the gut punch that they had coming out of half time, conceding that goal just kind of took a toll on this team. And now, again, when you look at this New England team, yes, they're going to make the playoffs, but it seems like they're going to flame out straight away. And I'm pretty sure all those lower seed team, of all those lower seed team that is going to try to hope that they may have a shot to beat their opposition in the first round. I'm pretty sure all of them are licking their chops and hoping that they play New England. And if it is indeed Miami playing against New England, yeah, this could get ugly for the New England Revolution. Who again, it's sad to see what has happened to this team. A team that in the beginning of the season, after getting off to such a good start, looked like there was promise, and then injuries rattled this team, and to a point where now the biggest storyline of this team is not about whether or not if they go deep in the playoffs, but really what is the next crazy stories that comes out of the press to really steer of just such a messy situation going on with the Bruce Arena scandal that's off the field right now with the New England Revolution. That being said, moving on in the next match, here's the Quakes. So unlike a certain other team that completely shat the bed and pretty much lay an egg at home in a crucial playoff kind of caliber kind of match or a playoff 6 pointer that is, Quakes did not did that. In fact, I would say that as soon as this game was over, The Quakes definitely made me smile once again because I was pretty disappointed to see how Minnesota play in that one, but the Quakes immediately gave me the smile again because literally 2 minutes into the game they get the opening goal as Jeremy Ebobisse would score from Espinoza to make it 1-0 in favor of the Quakes. By the way, Ebobisse did get subbed out in this game because of an injury. Let's just hope it's not something serious because as much as I know Jeremy Ebobisse has had his struggle this season. In fact, this is really the first goal he has scored in quite some time. That you definitely hope that he's going to be okay, and he's still a big part of this attack. And also, speaking of a big part of the attack, I don't think anybody are surprised to see Christian Espinoza was the one that is on the tail end of the assist. I mean, right now Christian Espinoza, I gotta say he is probably one of the most underrated players, if not the most underrated player right now in MLS. I mean, the fact that he's having a career year this season, both scoring and assisting, and is literally the offense for the Quakes team. I mean, if he was not there, I guarantee you the Quakes would not be in the position that they're in right now. But in the fourth minute, Cal would then pulls it wide from close range before McMath had to deny Cal on a deflection shot. I mean, it was a dream start for the Quakes. Like the Quakes were buzzing in this one, and RSL, it felt like they hit it. They clearly didn't start it on time because they were all over the place at the back early in this one. And as a result, the Quakes would get a 2-0 lead. It's Rodriguez scoring from Espinoza to make it 2-0 in this one. Yule then hits one right to McMath in the 20th minute before Arango did heads it wide from close range. I think that was the first shot for RSL up to that point because it was all Quakes early in this one. Though, the momentum kind of started to change a little bit. I thought RSL started to come back into this game and started to control the possession. Though Acapo did had a shot that was deflected wide in the 39th minute before on the ensuing corner. He would head it wide from close range. So yeah, the Quakes they were hungry to try to make it 3-0, but instead, right on the stroke of halftime, Chicharrongo would score to make it 2-1 in favor of the Quakes. And this was kind of unfortunate for the Quakes because originally Danielle made a great save to tip that one off the post, but unfortunately it just bounced right into the path of Arango. And yeah, that made it 2-1 in this game. There was a shout for a handball that was not given for RSL, and I just had a sense that the Quakes desperately need the halftime whistle. Like you can see, they are clearly rattled because of conceding that goal right on the stroke of halftime. And the good news is, eventually they do head to halftime with a fragile 2-1 lead. Now, in the second half, Montero would hit one right to McMahon before Oviedo would hit one right to Danielle. The shots were 14-13 in favor of RSL. So there was a lot of chances for both of these teams up to this point. Danielle would then deny Arango from the corner. I thought RSL once again started to control this game, and this is where I started to worry for the Quakes because the thing about the Quakes this season that kind of frustrates me, especially under Luchi Gonzalez, they parked the bus way too early, and it feels like it's happening again, or at least they parked the bus pretty much every single game, trying to hold on to get the win, and this one was no different, and it feels like it's happening again, and it feels like this is just way too early to do so. Like this is the 65th minute, we still have 25 minutes to go in this one. They cannot just put their foot off the gas so early in this one. Savarino then missed a free header in the back post. We then had some coming together between both of these teams because, as I mentioned before in the preview, even though this might not sound like a rivalry, whenever we see a San Jose Earthquakes versus Real Salt Lake match, they always tends to have some chippiness that is going on. There's always tends to be some hatred between both of these teams and some rough challenges that's been shared from both of these teams. So it's not a big surprise we saw some coming together once again for both of these teams. But as the time winds down, it is pretty clear the bus is firmly parked for the Quakes. Like they were just holding on for dear life. And again, this is very similar to what we saw in the last game. And really, I could say maybe it sums up the season. And I've also said this in the last game against DC. While I don't like the fact that they keep doing this, and I don't like the fact that that they decided to just kind of stop attacking after they took the lead and hoped for the best. At least it has worked out recently. I mean, in the beginning of the season, it didn't really work out because they were giving up multiple time they give up the leads, and it's been shown that it doesn't work out very well. But they kind of have proven those doubters wrong, and they kind of do it again in this one because besides Julio would hit one right to Dan out in the 87th minute, Quakes still were able to walk away with a 2-1 win. And the shots in this one, 16 shots for the 19 the RSL has in this game. I swear, by the end of the season, if Luchi Gonzalez is going to continue to do this, I mean, I'm I'm literally going to probably have all my fingernails bitten off because there's just way too many times I've watched this team play, and way too many times I'm on the edge of my seat and just praying the fact that this is not one of those games like in the early part of the season where they blow leads because of the fact that they decided just have to bust and hope for the best. 6 shots on goal compared to 7 that RSL had. 6 shots off target compared to 7 that the Quakes had. 3 shots that was blocked compared to 6 that RSL had. And possession-wise, 55% possession compared to the 45% possession that the Quakes has in this game. And again, a massive win for the Quakes in this game, helping them propel up the standings. I think they're now up to 7 in the standings once again. But for RSL, I don't think RSL played badly in this game. I mean, I thought in the second half they played relatively well and they were the better team. But this season there has been these kind of games where RSL just missed those opportunity to score goals, even though they have been the better team. And while a lot of that has happened at home, it hasn't happened as much as what we've seen on the road. It definitely happened in this one. I mean, these missed chances, these kind of games that they miss chances to really get a crucial goal to change the progression. Is that going to come back to haunt this RSL team at the end of the season? Because dropping points like this, getting nothing out of this game, it's definitely going to hurt their chances of making the playoffs. That being said, I am now going to switch boards and look at the last two games to finish off this weekend's action in terms of match week number 32. So moving on is none other than El Trafico in a game that I'm pretty sure you are waiting for when I talk about the review of this video, and it once again delivered. I mean, you knew that in an El Trafico game, goal scoring is definitely going to be high, and we got once again a great 6 goal thriller in this El Trafico, and you kind of see the usual thing where there were times where it kind of become a bit of a track meet, and that I will say that as much as LAFC kind of dominate this game, the Galaxy always found a way to get back into this game kind of out of nothing, which is kind of a specialty in El Trafico too. It doesn't matter, you're the more dominant team. If you don't take advantage of those key moments, yeah, the other team is going to do so. But one thing I will say that this El Trafico is kind of different from other El Trafico I've seen is the fact that we haven't seen an El Trafico where it hasn't really, like, by the near the end of the game, it kind of wasn't as nail biting, and there wasn't like some key moments, and a lot of that partially due to the fact that LAFC kind of put this game out of the reach with that fourth goal late in this game and kind of killed this game off. Though early on in the first half, Boy would puts it wide from close range before Bawanga would puts it wide from close in the 5th minute. LAFC had a lot of possession early. They were dictating the play. There was a huge shout for a penalty not given to LAFC before Bond would deny Vela after just a bad turnover from the Galaxy. That was a huge story for the Galaxy in this game. I mean, was just way too many turnover in the first half, and really in this game too. And when you turn the ball over with the likes of this LAFC team that can be so deadly on the transition and capitalize on mistake, that is just a big no. And the other thing that I've also noticed is that the left side of the pitch has been just absolutely exploited by LAFC. Like that left side of the pitch, the Galaxy had no answer whatsoever. So to no one's surprise, LAFC eventually get the goal as Bawanga would score from Palacio here to give the opening goal for LAFC, and that goal all came from the left side. I mean, we saw that coming with the way that the Galaxy just have no answer in terms of stopping LAFC on the on that left side. But what LAFC did have problem is keeping the lead, and it didn't take long for the Galaxy to get the equalizer. In fact, it only took 40 seconds when Billy Sharp would score from Fagundes to tie the game up at 1 apiece, and it feels like El Trafico is delivering again. I mean, that's the thing with El Trafico. You cannot switch off, and you cannot not think that you have won the game or have took a grip hold of this game, because it can turn just like that with a snap of the finger. And the Galaxy, to their credit, they capitalized on an LAFC team that was all still celebrating the fact that they got the opening goal, and next thing you know, they found themselves conceding on the other end, and the game was tied up at 1 apiece. But it didn't stay tied for long, as in the 33rd minute, Ryan Hollinshead would score from Vela to make it 2-1 in favor of LAFC. I thought the Galaxy continued to be scrambling in the defensive end with just so many turnover. Like, again, these turnovers that they had are just kind of brutal turnover in their own end. And really, you could also say that this game could have been easily out of reach if it wasn't for Jonathan Bond, because it feels like Bond he decided that, yeah, I'm gonna try to stand on my hands and trying to save as many of these chances that was coming off of Galaxy turnover. He first denied Oliveira from long range before robbing Ilie from close in the 44th minute, but we do head to halftime with LAFC leading 2-1. In the second half, Bond denied Bogusz from close range. LAFC picked up where they left off. They were pressing to try to get the third goal. Bond then denied Oliveira again, this time from close range. And I mean, Bond is the only reason this game is still 2-1. Like, this could have been easily 3 or 4-1 in favor of LAFC if Bond wasn't here to come to the rescue. Though Vela did miss a free header from close range, and with all these chances that LAFC has had, you just kind of had a feeling their inability to get a third could come back to haunt them, and especially in El Trafico, it's not about how many chances that you had and the almost moment. It's about the key moment of scoring a goal. And would you know it, the Galaxy took that to a full extent as really out of nowhere. In the 59th minute, Yoshida would score from Boy to tie the game up at 2 apiece. That literally came from a throw-in. Yeah, that's when you know it's probably bad defending there from LAFC. It was completely against the run of play, and again, just you saw this one coming with the way that LAFC were wasting their opportunity to extend the lead to 3-1. And when you do that in this game in El Trafico, it's always going to come back to haunt you. So the game was tied up at 2 apiece, despite the fact that the shots were 12-3 for LAFC through 62 minutes. And really, I feel like ever since the equalizer, that really stung LAFC because their attack just haven't been as fluid as what we saw since the equalizer, and maybe a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Galaxy kind of stopped turning the ball over in their own end. Well, it seemed like that was the case until in the 75th minute, Bawanga would score here to restore the lead from LAFC, and guess what? It came off of a bad turnover, and this was Mavinga. You know, out of all the bad turnover that happened for the Galaxy in this one, this was probably the worst one. I mean, Mavinga just pretty much decided to back pass to his keeper. He didn't put enough pace in terms of that ball, and it goes straight to Bawanga. Yeah, that is an absolute gift wrap of a goal, but one that we kind of also saw it coming with the way that the Galaxy was just not being so careless with the ball whenever they're in their own end. Mavinga did try to make amends of it in the 80th minute, but he missed wide there. And I just kind of had a feeling as we wind this game down, you just feel like there's going to be another goal. Like you just know that in an out traffic game with a tight game like this, there's going to be another late goal to really write the story of this game. Well, there was a late goal, and it went in favor of the host LAFC, as Timothy Tillman would score from Gonzalez to shut the door in this game, or at least at that point it is, because you know even a 2-goal lead in an El Trafico is not completely safe. But that really came off a lightning counterattack. I mean, the Galaxy, they were playing such a high line. They were throwing man forward to tie the game up. And when you do that, you basically play right in the hands of LAFC because you know LAFC is a good transitional team. And that was all about the transition for LAFC. So, yeah, that made it 4-2. And again, this is where I didn't write any more notes because really not much happened after that. Like, you usually see in an El Trafico, maybe there could be another goal. Maybe the Galaxy make it 4-3 and make it really interesting. But nope, instead, LAFC relatively comfortable to see out this 4-2 win and end their 3-game losing streak that they had coming into this one. But the shots in this one just showed you the dominance that LAFC had. 14 shots compared to just 5 that the Galaxy had. 9 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Galaxy had. 4 shots off target compared to 2 that the Galaxy had. 1 shot that was blocked for both of these teams. And possession-wise, the Galaxy actually had more of the possession, 62% possession compared to just 38% possession that LAFC has had. But again, a lot of that is due to the fact that LAFC, you know, even though they didn't have a lot of possession, it's mainly because they just kind of sit back, forcing the Galaxy to make mistakes. And once they make mistake, they go on the other end, and all of a sudden they create another decent opportunity. So yeah, big win for LAFC. I wouldn't say that this is going to be a game that I could easily say that, well, it feels like LAFC is back at their best because, you know, in an El Trafico, the emotion is always high and it's all about who can, of course, outscore each other. And it feels like LAFC did in this one. But it's a good sign for them to get a big win to really turn their fortune around. Because again, these last couple of games for LAFC has not looked good whatsoever. But for the Galaxy, again, they need a big bounce back, and it starts with them playing against Minnesota, which I didn't mention it in that Minnesota Sporting KC review, but I'm going to that game, and I'm really hoping Minnesota get a response. I mean, they should be. I mean, I'm at the stadium so far. When it comes to me watching Minnesota play in person, they've been pretty good. I think I've only saw them lost twice in the last 8 or 9 times I've seen Minnesota United play in person. So it tends to be a good luck charm for the Loons, and not to mention the all of the free home wins that the Loons have got this season. Two of them I was in person to see it at Allianz Field. So hopefully that good luck charm does continue. And again, this team tends to play better on the road, so maybe they'll get a big victory against the Galaxy. But the Galaxy are not are trying to change that script, and that again that should be a big game, for both of these teams that definitely wants to bounce back after just a bad performance that they had in the weekend's matchup. Speaking of bad performance, moving on into the last game on this board. Well, in this game for Austin, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a bad performance by them, at least when you look at the first 35 minutes or so. But then, yeah, the old saying, goals change game. Yeah, it definitely changed in this one, especially with the Timbers getting the equalizer or getting the opening goal. Because after that, that completely changes in terms of how this game played out. But like I said early on, it looked like Austin was buzzing. And they looked like they scored the opening goal just 1 minute into this game as Rigoni would put the ball into the back of the net. It looks like hell has frozen over with Rigoni putting the ball into the back of the net. But then we kind of got back ourselves to reality because the goal was disallowed for offside. And then the post denied Zardes on a free header there. Austin was definitely on the front foot. They were trying to press for the opening goal. Bingham would then tip Zardes header over. There was a lot of ball watching from the Timbers on that defensive play, and that was a big problem for the Timbers. I mean, they were absolutely lackluster in terms of their defensive shape, at least in the first 25 minutes or so. Zardes then was in on goal here, but he missed wide there, so it looks like we got the Jersey Zardes that can't finish in this game because he looked like he was snake bit already. Again, hitting the post. Bingham making the save, and now in on goal had a chance to get the opening goal, and weren't able to miss or put that one away. Rain then missed wide from close range before Zardes had another chance, but he hits that one onto the roof of the net, and that of course was a free header there. I mean, again, when you're a number 9 and you're not feeling it, that's kind of the resort that it is the case. And I mean, is this one of those nights for Austin again, where as this somehow is still 0-0, and that when you don't put away your opportunity, it's gonna come back to haunt you, and it haunt Austin badly because this is when the Timbers woke up. Stuver would deny Moreno as that was really Portland's first shot, really the first opportunity that they had after they were being under siege for the first 30 minutes or so. Evander then hits one straight to Stuver, and again, slowly the Timbers started to come back into this game. And in the 39th minute, they get the lead. It's Felipe Mora that gets the lead for the Portland Timbers, and yeah, Austin, they just did not clear their line when the ball was coming in. I mean, there was a couple of pinball action. Mora was the last one to get it, and he slots that one home. And when you don't clear your lines, that is exactly what happened. And it won't be the last time I mentioned some bad defending from the Austin defensive part, which again, that just kind of also sums up their season. It's been just a disastrous season on the defensive end for this Austin FC team. So we head to halftime with the Timbers leading 1-0. In the second half, the script seems to change because it's now the Timbers, the one that is dictate the play, and Austin, again, on its heels early. They were flat coming out of the gate. Astria would then miss it high and wide from close range, but then in the 64th minute, Evander would score. He scored from Mora to make it 2-0 in favor of the Timbers. Defending was not to be found whatsoever for Austin. I mean, Evander had just a wide open look there. That should not happen whatsoever. And with the way that, I know Evander has had a very polarized season, but when you give him that open of a look, yeah, he's probably going to bury it into the back of net. So, yeah, that made it 2-0. It was almost 3-0 when Moreno was in on goal, but his shot was deflected wide. But then in the 75th minute, it was hope for Austin as Treyusi would get one back for Austin. And you can see there was life inside Q2 Stadium because it was a very quiet crowd when the Timbers got a 2-0 lead, despite the fact that their supporter group tried their best to keep banging the drum and keep the energy of this team. Moreno then puts it high from close range before Boley would pose it wide as he was in on goal there. And I thought it was a good response for the Timbers. I mean, you thought that maybe momentum was going to be with Los Verdes, but give credit to the Timbers. They had a good response. But that being said, the inability to get that third goal, is that going to come back to haunt them? Well, Rain would hit it wide from close range in the 88th minute before Rigoni would miss wide from close range. And despite Austin were pushing hard to get the equalizer, the Timbers survived. They win a big victory down at Q2 Stadium to really improve their playoff chances. I think as we speak, I think they're now above the red line right now with a 2-1 victory. The shots in this one, 16 shots created, 14 that the Timbers had. 5 shots on goal for both of these teams. 9 shots off target with 7 that the Timbers had. Both teams had 2 shots that was blocked. And possession-wise, 67% possession compared to 33% possession that the Timbers had. And also with this loss, Austin have now dropped all the way down to 12th place in the Western Conference. Again, that's how things can change. You can look comfortable in the standings, but if you lose and the other result goes against you, you can sink immediately down in the Western Conference. And that's exactly what Austin find themselves in. And it looks like this is starting to get away from this Austin team. I mean, I know they got that big point against New England. It feels like maybe that's a turning point for them, but now after this result, it feels like things are getting away from this Austin team. And it's also crazy to say that by the end of the season, we could have the Houston Dynamo being the only Texas team to represent the playoffs this season. And if you would have told me that was the case in the beginning of the season, I don't think anybody would have believed you. But with the way that Austin has been struggling and really been struggling ever since that debacle that they had in the Leeds Cup, and FC Dallas basically is struggling too, especially in the goal scoring department. There's a chance that Houston could be the only Texas team that made it to the playoffs this year. And that, again, for Austin, I know this. You knew that we're gonna regress this season, but man, this has been a hard regression to a point where I feel like this is even worse than the first season. I mean, in the first season, I know that they of course did not get off to a good start, but at least there was promise in the second half of the season. There was no promise whatsoever. It feels like it's almost kind of the a little bit of the opposite of the first. Well, actually, I wouldn't say it's the opposite. I mean, this season it's just been inconsistency, time and time again. And I've mentioned this so much with Austin this season. It's been one step forward and two step back, and it feels like now it's 5 step back with the way that they're just completely imploding ever since that embarrassment of the Leeds Cup that they have, where they have not won a game ever since they were coming out of the Leeds Cup break. But there you have it. That is pretty much it in terms of looking at all of these games to finish off the review for match week number 32. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of these games. And once again, we got some midweek action that's going to be happening. In fact, we have a full slate of midweek action, which again, I don't know how I'm going to try to watch every single game. In fact, I'm probably not going to, because I'm going to that game between Minnesota and the Galaxy. And most likely, I'm going to do something similar to what I did last time when we had a midweek action. Probably going to end up doing the review either on Thursday or on Friday night. But until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys like, smash the subscribe button. And I, of course, will see you guys next time.